to learn to discern what's at hand in your circumstances, be able to call a circumstance for what it is, and understand that power, that resiliency that is dwelling within you, that grit within you. We'll also be equipping you with strategies on how to exploit that resiliency, all working towards you becoming the best version of yourself. So, I'm sure you're wondering, what's resiliency anyway? Resiliency is that capacity to not only recover easily and quickly from very, very unpleasant events, major setbacks, but also thrive through that. It's the ability to turn adversities into hope, into positivity, opportunities. It's the opportunity to spring back to a new normal. And most importantly, it is a crucial workplace skill set that falls under the emotional intelligence. We need to be able to overcome adversities in our personal, in our professional lives. It's a gift. And we're teaching you today how to actually tap into that gift. And BreakThru is here. That's our prime mission, to enable you to tap into that natural talent so that you can be an overcomer and thrive in life. So, quote by Nelson Mandela, "Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." Brilliant quote. Now, emotional intelligence, the subject of today, emotional intelligence for breakthrough. What is it? It's that core ability to identify, understand, and regulate your emotions. Not only your emotions, but also to identify, understand emotions in others. Understand where the other person is coming from so that you can actually extend that empathy, understand their position, and arrive at compromise. It really, EQ, determines how successful a person is in their relationships, in their career, and all other aspects of life. As you can see, it is the key ingredient for harmonious living in your professional life as well as in your personal life. According to Career Builder, 71% of employers say that they value emotional intelligence over IQ, from a source citation, January 2023. So as you can see, it is very, very critical. It's imperative that professionals develop their EQ so that they can increase their chances of success in life. And that's what we are here to do. We are here in this 2-day summit to equip you with all those strategies so that you can actually conquer life and be successful, be the best version you can be, and just walk in empowerment. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So, the problem. What is the opportunity we have to address today? 80% of employees view emotional intelligence as crucial for career development, while alarmingly, only 42% of companies provide specific emotional intelligence training for their employees. So that's a gap. That's a gap today that we are intentionally addressing with this complimentary GEM EQ for Breakthrough event, with this amazing and diverse subject matter experts, EQ expert professionals you can't find anywhere else. From humanitarians, USC fighters, you name it, we have them right here speaking to you for the next 2 days. Because we understand you need practical life-conquering strategies to be able to win in life. And most importantly, you may find yourself in a corporate setting where you may be struggling to have that sense of belonging. We're addressing all of that today. You'll be able to experience a better connection with your company, business agenda, and mission. So I encourage you today to sit back, relax, and enjoy this wonderful summit. And first, I would like to, in terms of learning for today, I want to go over just a recap of what we'll be focusing on today. You will be equipped with life conquering strategies on how to reduce stress, cultivate empathy for yourself and others, acknowledge and make space for emotions, leverage emotions for performance and growth, and overcome fear with gratitude and optimism. Manage relationships and conflict with clear communication and healthy boundaries, uncompromising, healthy boundary lines. Exercise gratitude and optimism to build EQ. You need to foster healthier team dynamics, healthier, better collaboration. And of course, most importantly, show up with the power in your asking. And we'll address that tomorrow. So I would like first to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Clifford Starks. He comes with an amazing background, and he will obviously cover that in his introduction. Mr. Clifford, if you can please take the stage. He will be going over benefits for building EQ. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Saskia. I appreciate that. Well, first off, I want to thank the audience for being here. You could have been anywhere to provide your time, and you're here with us. So 100% appreciate that. And Saskia, I appreciate you bringing so many leaders together to support one another. You know, that's the name of the game is support. And as I've gone through my journey, um, I've done some really cool things. I've rode some big waves and I've crashed on some even bigger waves. Fought in the UFC, married for 16 years, two kids. One just turned 7, so 7 and 2. And always overcame, always found a way to overcome. Been a champion on several things, lost to champions on several things as well. Won on live TV, and I've lost on live TV. And so I think ultimately we come to get results in life, right? Like ultimately we want a result. What I can say EQ has brought to me was the whole gambit of everything that I ever needed. And what I mean by that is ultimately we're looking for three things and technically four. We want our relationships right, we want our health right, and we want our wealth right. And the fourth thing is we want to be entertained. Like that's just the truth of it. We want all four factors. The cool thing when we get our emotional intelligence right, we can have all of those things because everything starts and ends with relationships. Um, I'll give an example. I've known Buddy maybe a month and a half, and I've developed a very strong bond with him in a very short time. And it's because we both have high EQ. When you have a high EQ, you can turn losers into winners because we're all winners at the end of the day. And people are going to figure that out on their own time. That's for them to figure out. I'm just going to share my experiences, my lessons, and you can take them and try them out and see if it works for you or say I didn't really like this one. But the two things that I ask for the people who are listening is participation and to have an open mind. The reason I say to participate is I have a background in personal training too. Let me tell you, getting weight off of people was not the easiest of tasks at first. You get really good at it when you realize it's just a mental game. Uh, but they had to participate. If they didn't participate, it didn't matter. So I could do push-ups and sit-ups and eat right and do all the things that needed to be done. They wouldn't change. So as you participate, you're participating in your life. That's what it really comes down to. And an open mind, because an open mind, I will tell you, has been my very best friend. I've gotten to master a lot of things, and as a master, it's being open and saying there's always something new. There's always something different. There's always that inch that can change. I look at Tiger Woods and what he did and what he accomplished. He was so curious, and people believed in him, and then they started doubting him, and then all of a sudden believed in him again. and he maintained one thing, which was curiosity and a very open mind. So if he can have an open mind, all I'm asking, can we all do our best to keep our minds open to what's presented, and let let the professionals pour into you so that you can be the professional in your life and in your journey. Um, but as I've gone through, it's funny because it's literally the simple things that make the big difference, right? Like the simple things are what get us where we need to go, but our mind wants to kind of reject the simple things because when it's like, oh well, I know that, so I need to do something else. Like, no, just keep doing the thing that you're doing. Just do it better than you did before. So I'm going to give 3 exercises with stories tied within all 3 of the exercises. One exercise specifically, it's called a third, a third, and a third. And what this is, a third of the people you're surrounding yourself are looking to get to where you're at. So emotional intelligence, if you have the ability to deal with any and every situation and talk with a certain attitude. And here's what's interesting. The way we speak, if I yell at someone, that can be a good thing. If I talk kindly to someone, that can be a good thing. It comes down to the time and the timing. Sometimes it works and sometimes it's terrible, right? And so the best way you can find out what's good and what's bad is say, like, okay, do I have the results that I want in my life? And if I don't, well, how do I get them? So this third, third, and a third come down to the people who have the results that you want. If you have specific results, right, that you're looking to obtain, go around a third of people who have already gotten the result. Buddy used to be a high level professional bowler, and I look forward to getting to know all of you. Saskia is an absolute powerhouse, and me and her have been both coached by Aisha Cogborn, who's an amazing human being. But we got to that position because there was something someone had, and we wanted to get to that thing. So that a third of those people have already obtained the thing that I'm looking to obtain. Like I said, simple, simple stuff. Then a third of the people are just as hungry to obtain the thing that you're looking to obtain. Because if you're looking to obtain it by yourself, you might do it, but odds say it's going to be drastically harder than if you're doing it with a group who's looking to do the exact same thing. Now, the other third's kind of funny. That third is a third that's looking to get to where you're at. And here's the beauty of the process. When you're coaching or supporting others to get to where you're at, you start appreciating the subtleties of everything and how the simple things really can be quite difficult at times. I've been prone to be an overthinker at times on my journey, and I'll say too much. Sometimes I need to say less. Sometimes I need them to look at the right thing. And as I'm doing that and learning how to do that, I get better at having it done to me. And so that's why you take that third, and the third, and you just have fun. Have fun. Go enjoy the journey. That's part of the process, right? And so the next one is visualization, and visualization with emotion. So we can visualize, we're good at that, but without the emotion tied behind it, it doesn't really work. So I'll give you an example. When I would visualize as a fighter, I would see myself going in there. I would feel what I was going to feel. That's scary stuff. You're getting ready to be judged by your peers. So if I just visualize myself like, oh yeah, I knock them out and this worked, like, good luck when game time happens because you're letting go, you're not putting the emotion behind it. But if you can visualize and put the emotion behind it, the feelings you're going to get, your heart pounding, your body sweating. And now the feelings don't have to be negative feelings. You know, they say nervousness can just be excitement, but know that you're going to feel the feeling. Don't pretend like it's not there. And so I would see myself walking down that cage, getting ready to go into the cage. It's shutting, good things happening, and bad things happening. Because that is life. Like life doesn't just like, oh, well, you visualized it, so only good things can happen. No, it's going to go both ways. And I'm seeing myself making the right response no matter what. That's all emotional intelligence really is. Did I make the right response? And the cool thing is, if you make the wrong response, just as Saskia was talking about, being able to overcome, being able to have grit, you can make a better response the next time. That's the beauty of the game. Like, you're going to screw up sometimes. That's the way that it goes. But you can make your screw ups your breakthroughs. I had one coach say, I have my breakthroughs when I have my breakdowns. And that's what's going to happen sometimes. You're going to have a breakdown, but holy crap, your life's going to be better because of it. And that's the reminder that people sometimes have to have. That's what that visualization will do is like, why am I doing the thing that I'm doing? Why am I doing this? Because my brain has asked me multiple times, why am I doing what I'm doing? And I think it's going to continue to do that because I got into entrepreneurship. I didn't know I was changing one arena to another arena. I had no idea. I was like, oh, everyone makes this stuff sound super simple. I'll get into this. Okay, I find an avatar, connect with my avatar, and then make a lot of money and support a lot of people. Oh crap, it wasn't that at all. Like it's all those little things that make the big difference. And the same is true with fighting. You know, they say, oh, it's just you're punching at things and kicking at things. No, it's so much more than that. But that's the beauty of the game. When you can realize there's so much more behind it and that you become what you practice, then it's not so bad. And so I'll also leave with this visualization. It's what I see, or no, what I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. And what I do, I understand. The more we do things, the more we understand those things. And when we test ourselves to go outside of our comfort zone, we will shock ourselves. And I will tell you, um, I did this and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who, if unless your emotional intelligence is way, way up there, like know where you're at. My wife was really, really upset. You know, where they see that red upset, where they don't even see you as a human being anymore, kind of upset. Yeah, she was there. And for some strange reason, call it the competitor in me, I don't know. I leaned in and I got her to laugh. And I'm like, I'm navigating through these tight, tight, small windows just to see what I could do, just to see what I could become. And she started laughing, and I started laughing, and things were good. It wasn't always like that. Like if you take teenage Cliff versus 41-year-old Cliff, he wouldn't be able to do that. But sometimes you got to try, and you say, well, at least I tried. It didn't work. Let me try again. Now, the third thing, I really like this sequence because it's so powerful. You have you have your circumstances. You have life happening, right? Life's going to happen. Then you have a thought, then you have a feeling, then you have an action, and you have a result, right? And so ultimately, you can't always control the circumstance or you can't control life, but you can control the thought behind it, right? And emotional intelligence is about what can I control versus what I cannot control. Now, this is something I see consistently um, within the society that I know. And again, this is just my perspective lens. Everyone's is different. People try to control the uncontrollables. They're either trying to control the uncontrollables or they're trying to control the 80% that's going to give them 20% results. Well, that would suck either way. Both of those suck. So why not ask myself the question, okay, let me step back. What can I control that will give me massive results of what I'm looking for? That happens in business, that happens in fighting, that happens in life, that happens in relationships. If I focus on leverage and controlling the proper pieces that I can control, where I put a 20% input and I get an 80% output, well, that looks pretty cool. And so ultimately, the coolest thing with emotional intelligence, if you just follow the first one, the third, and a third, uh, your life's gonna be golden. And the reason being, you're gonna be around the right people who are looking to mold you as the leader that you were meant to be. And I say meant to be because we're always growing, we're always changing, we're always becoming something new. Right now, I get an opportunity myself to be an even better leader today because I'm around a bunch of brilliant minds. So today, I do have an opportunity from everybody here and the audience, too. Maybe someone from the audience is going to ask a brilliant question that I never thought about before. And that's another opportunity for me. So life is just a series of opportunities at the end of the day, if you allow it to be. It can also be a list of screw ups and suckiness if you allow it to be. And that is the beauty of emotional intelligence. So as I go through this whole process, I ultimately want to say we're far more capable than we give ourselves credit for. Far more. And as I've gone through my journey, I will say it felt weird to be classified as the 1%. Felt very strange to me. Um, but I held it like a badge of honor. Really did. I'm part of the 1%. I have done things other human beings will not do. And eventually I had to let the badge go because I realized it's not about holding on to this badge, it's about gifting the badge. It's about going to that 1% and then helping someone else go to that 1%. At one time, I thought everyone could be the 1%, right? And I've learned everyone doesn't want to be the 1%. Like they're not looking to do that. Do you want to be a brilliant doctor? No, I'm good. Do you want to fight at the highest level? No, I'm good. But I'm built to talk to the ones who do want that, who want to scale the highest mountain. I can't help myself but to be what I am. And so ultimately, I think the most emotional intelligent thing we all can do is ask ourselves, am I what I want to be? And am I taking the reps or the actions to be that thing? Hard work was never hard to me because I knew the result that I would get from it. It was my mom who gave me that lesson. I appreciate the lesson. And my dad also gave me the lesson of responsibility to say, be whatever you want to be, but accept the consequences of what you're going to be. And so I went as far into leadership as I could because I wanted to be the best human being that I could be. Now, I didn't know wanting to be the best was going to be supporting others and being the best too. Thought it was just, you just make it the you show. You be the best that you can be. And then I realized, oh crap, it's the we show. We become the best together. And so when I look at compromise, there's a weird shift that I take through it. And so if you're willing to participate in practice, there are no compromises. There's just the ability to live or die. Are you thriving? Are you being your best? Are you showing up as your best? Or are you just kind of surviving and saying, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this thing over here. Or like, oh, I get to do this. When things aren't going my way, when there's a trigger, when there's an issue, when there's a problem, I get an opportunity. That's the name of the game. And so as we participate and share, I want to give a quote. And the quote is by Jim Rohn. It says, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And I hold that close to my heart every single time. And I don't know when I'm going to need the quote, especially with, well, now a 7-year-old. He was 6, and a 2-year-old, and my wife for 16 years. I don't know when I'm going to need it. I just know that I'm always going to practice it. Because another thing, unshakable faith. I say ultimately, unshakable faith is practicing what you need to practice so it's there when you need it. Not saying, oh crap, I need this thing now and I haven't practiced for it, so let me make it work. So I'll take those exercises one more time through really, really quickly. But a third, and a third. Know who you're surrounding yourself with. Are they going after the same thing you're going after, or are they not? Honestly, people, I think it's important, vital for us all to make our lives easier. And if you have a person who's dragging you down from your goal, not bad people, just dragging you down from the goal that you're looking to obtain, that's probably not the best thing to do. That's like someone going like, well, I want to go to New Mexico. Well, I want to go to California. You both get the opportunity to go in those directions. But don't sit in the car complaining that you wanted to do something when someone's driving you somewhere else. So that's one exercise, visualization with emotion. Be very emotional with what you're visualizing. Go deep into it. There's a question, why? Why am I doing this? I need to know why every single time. And my whys get deeper as I go through the journey. Like I didn't know I was practicing emotional intelligence when I was a fighter. I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to be the best competitor that I could be. And then later on, when I look back, I'm like, oh crap, this did this, and this did this, and this did this. So know your why now. You don't have to know your why in the future. Just know why you're doing it now. And then do it with complete emotion and power. And then remember the pattern. There's a circumstance called life. Your thought, your feeling, your action, your result. Jeff actually said this to me. He says, where energy goes, no, where attention goes, energy flows, and results show. And I know how true that is. Like, that is, could you imagine if I'm getting ready to fight and someone told me something horrible happened to someone I care about? I'm not going to fight the same, no matter how much I practiced it. My attention's not on it anymore. And so ask yourself, well, where's my attention going to? Is it going to the controllables or is it going to the uncontrollables? Am I trying to control the 20% that will give me an 80% return? Am I trying to control the 80% that's giving me a 20% return? And I'm wondering why I'm frustrated. So I hope this serves you all. And I continue to send love and light to every single person that's here. And if it didn't serve you, let me know. Let me know what I can do better. Because like I said, I'm always a work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Clifford, for that amazing outpouring of wisdom. You know your why and go do it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Next up will be Dr. Susie Misrick. She will be covering how do feedback and learning opportunities build EQ. Dr. Susie, come to the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Saskia. I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be on your amazing summit with these awesome speakers. And I want to welcome all of our listeners and attendees. My name is Dr. Susie Mearswick. I'm an author, speaker, and entrepreneur. I have an MBA from Golden Gate University and an honorary humanitarian doctorate from the Global International Institute. My business is stem cell regeneration, where I help my clients eliminate pain and chronic issues with a proprietary technology that uses no drugs whatsoever. My free offer today is if you contact me, I will give you a complimentary session where I will tell you and show you all about how stem cell technology, which is easy to use, affordable, and available in over 100 countries, can change your health and your life. My topic today is how do feedback and learning opportunities build emotional intelligence. Have you ever seen a group of kids excitedly building a sand castle at the beach? They're scooping up shovelfuls of sand, creating a wall to protect their fortress, and then they decorate it with shells and seaweed. Then they run off happily to get mom and dad to come over and admire their new creation. Moments later, when they return, they see their once proud castle has been reduced to a pile of ruins. After drying off their tears, mom or dad sits down next to them on the sand and they start to examine what happened. Was their castle built too close to the incoming tide? Location is important in our work. Was there evidence of a rowdy group of bigger kids that stomped their footprints on the castle? Hostile forces in the work environment can undermine our efforts. Did the lifeguard truck plow through the castle on its way to rescue a swimmer in danger? The business climate in the outside world can force unwanted changes in our little workplace. We can compare our own sandcastle and work environment to the fortress building scenario here. While we're creating our own little sandcastle at work, outside forces can cause unexpected changes that leave us temporarily washed away in the tide. When I took my first position in corporate finance, I thought I was all set on the road to success. I had a newly printed copy of my MBA. I was working at a major corporation, and I was on the management track. Then suddenly one day, my manager informed me that my position in the department was being eliminated. Life is a journey, often filled with unexpected setbacks to our most carefully crafted goals. We set out naively expecting our path to proceed smoothly till we reach the big rainbow of retirement at the end. But early in our career, we may hit a few stumbling blocks, but we brush off the dust, certain that these must be just a fluke in the road. In my case, I looked for an answer to my dismissal, so I went to see the vice president of finance, the head of my division. There must be some mistake, I thought. How could this be? She informed me of a big fact that I was unaware of. If your boss doesn't like you, then you must leave. I was told it simply. At this early stage in my career, I was totally unaware of office politics and hostile personalities. I did not possess the skill of emotional intelligence. So when my life hit a big boulder, it wiped me out. I crashed professionally. I used the intelligence I just gained from this wise mentor, and I moved on. I took another position at a different firm, and life continued for 3.5 years. However, now my growing emotional intelligence made me question whether finance was my true calling. So I made an appointment with a career counselor to see if my talent and personality were best suited for the position I currently had. When our career or personal life hits a wall, our first step needs to be immediate assessment of our situation. Otherwise, we find ourselves rebuilding another sandcastle on shifting sand. The results of my own career assessment were surprising. The tests revealed that instead of number crunching in the finance department, my strengths were in teaching and sales. Now my growing emotional intelligence informed my decision. I realized I was not a financial fish. My personality and talents were not flourishing in my current spot. So I made a big move and I resigned. I took a temporary position as the coordinator of a foreign exchange program. I had to teach the course and hire the families to host the students. Here were my teaching and sales skills coming into brilliant light. After this successful stint, I decided to resume the career I had started before getting my MBA. So I returned to teaching. Resilience enabled me to transition from the corporate to the educational setting, which supported my strengths. The following year, I became the department chair, and I kept this position for 20 years when I transitioned again. So resilience enabled me to pivot my career after 2 attempts in finance because I discovered my gifts as an educator. What would have been the outcome if I had not used emotional intelligence to reassess my career disruption? I could have just gone along on autopilot, transferred to another finance job, and continued crunching numbers somewhere else. I could have blamed my boss, blamed my company, blamed my fate or bad luck, the economy, and everything else. Instead, I looked inside myself to learn the lessons I needed to learn so I could succeed. I was the one who needed to change. Emotional intelligence is useful not only in business, but in our personal life as well. After 24 years of marriage, my unfaithful husband left me. My lack of emotional intelligence made me blind to the reality of my marriage. I was traveling year after year on autopilot. My feelings were frozen and unexamined beneath the surface of my life. I was content to just accept the position I found myself in. When my marriage hit a big boulder, it derailed me. When he refused to go to counseling, as he originally stated, my eyes were finally open. The emotional abuse my daughters and I suffered became clear. Emotional intelligence made me realize my suburban life had reached a screeching halt. Now I wondered, how was I to proceed in life? Resilience now came into play. The life I had been traveling fell into a giant chasm. I had to pull myself out. What skills did I possess to create a new life for myself? Just as I used self-assessment to inform a new path in my career, I now took inventory in my personal life. I realized I needed outside support to learn from my errors and oversights. I sought counseling for myself and a recovery group where I could process the events that had derailed me with other people experiencing similar life crises. Was I alone in thinking I needed help? No. My growing emotional intelligence enabled me to review my entire life, all the way back to my childhood. I saw many patterns of dysfunction that had surrounded me and prevented me from learning emotional skills at an earlier age. Was it time to blame my upbringing, my past, or just attribute it all to bad luck? No. Fortunately, I attacked my current circumstances, both professional and personal, with zeal and a multi-layered approach. Just as when a patient is suffering in the hospital with a disease, we must consult several sources to get an accurate picture of the diagnosis. I realized that to move forward to a new plateau of wholeness, I needed many resources that would address my ailing mind, body, and spirit. When our professional life is disrupted, our emotional intelligence may be clouded. So it is best to seek guidance from a professional coach. I had learned that we all have blind spots when it comes to our life that must be unmasked if we are to proceed successfully. Engaging in idle chatter around the water cooler where we just complain about our circumstances never serves as a solution. A mentor can point out the obvious or even subtle distinctions in our current thinking that are hindering us from succeeding in our present circumstances. We must let go of our ego to allow other possibilities to come into our consciousness. If we're currently unable to navigate clearly within the turmoil present in our own life, we must seek guidance from an advisor who is not personally involved. This person can help us steer clear of danger zones. We all know of people who make the same kind of blunders over and over and over again because they haven't learned from their lack of emotional intelligence. A coach will serve as our GPS to avoid repeating the same mistakes. Regarding our ego, which is no doubt bruised from unfortunate mishaps on our journey, we need to consult another aspect of our being. This is where prayer, meditation, a supportive Bible study group, or a recovery group can come to our aid. During my own downturns in life, I found that prayer was an ever available strategy that calmed my mind during periods of stress, whether business or personal. By engaging in these kind of strategies, we access our higher guides or angels that will help us to benefit from a higher perspective. Quiet reflection time, whether alone or in a guided group, can bring peace and calm. Working out can relieve stress to our overtaxed mind and heart. Going for a walk in nature or puttering in our garden can allow our sadness to lift and our spirit to soar. We can find hope again. And this need not be done alone or in the dark. Even going for a bike ride can clear our head, sift through our cluttered emotions, and bring resolution to our mind. If our work woes or personal circumstances keep us in a constant state of panic or tears, it will also help us to get over ourselves for a short period if we volunteer or provide care for someone else. In my life, I found that volunteering for a short time each week gave me a place and a time to forget about my problems because I was caring for someone else who needed my help. This space and distance will help us to see our circumstances more clearly, regain perspective, or imagine another path of action we hadn't taken yet. Why do I mention prayer, exercise, meditation, volunteering, receiving coaching or therapy when I find myself in a personal or professional mess? These are all strategies I can utilize to build resilience in my life. Just as there are many ways to exercise the body, these practices and others facilitate different emotional muscles, to use an analogy, that allow us to process new professional paths or personal experiences. A mentoring or coaching group is another resource that can be useful when we travel through rough patches in our road. These groups should consist of individuals who are not involved in our own personal life. In this way, they can be objective about giving us needed feedback on new plans we may be considering. In both our personal and professional life, we can expect to encounter many boulders that roll across our path. Sometimes we can use our emotional intelligence to swerve around the boulder, but at other times the boulder heads straight for us and can wipe us out. The boulder refuses to budge. We feel stuck, upended, shocked. How could these unwelcome events be happening to me? Was it caused by outside forces such as a corporate takeover or a merger that eliminated many positions? Was it my lack of skills, training, or interpersonal problems that caused the change? So, what do we do when we are faced with a career boulder headed our way? Well, we can stand our ground and get wiped out. We can run and hide, or we can freeze in place. The resilience that we have built up by withstanding the challenges in life comes to our aid. We need to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and take inventory after the storm hits. We can do this on our own or by consulting with our mentor. We need to assess the reason why we are in a current crisis. Is the problem from within our own company or from an external circumstance? Is the problem due to something we did or something we failed to do? Was it caused by us or someone else? After we determine the threat to our current situation, then we need to assess our strengths in meeting this challenge. If we head the buggy whip division and there is no more need for buggy whips, then our decision is clear. If the crisis is one of personnel, we may be able to negotiate a solution. If it is caused by our lack of training or skill, we may be able to seek and acquire the new training to improve in our current predicament. If the crisis is of our own unsuitability or incompetence, then we need to be prepared to change ourselves. Sometimes we think everything is just fine, but the powers that be had a different vision that doesn't include us, so we must go. The one thing we should not do is run and hide. Sometimes people think that if they stay beneath the radar, they can avoid an imminent crisis at work. We cannot avoid change no matter what it is. We must face it head on, even though it is not to our liking. The resilience we have inside us tells us we can learn and grow and triumph from any outcome. Some people who are afraid to face change may think that distracting themselves with emotional crutches will help them ignore change, but diverting ourselves with things like substance abuse or partying will never eliminate any crisis we face. It is just creating another barrier to solving our problem. Blaming others is also an unproductive waste of our energy resources. Even if someone else has caused our current problem, our only mission is to create a new opportunity for ourselves, because the current situation is passing away. Whatever the event is that we face, we may not have any control over the outcome, but we always choose our response to it. Winston Churchill said, "Attitude is a little thing, but it makes a big difference." Our emotional intelligence will help us determine what kind of changes we need to make to move forward after a crisis hits us. First, acknowledge change is coming. Second, seek counsel from someone wiser than you. Third, prepare yourself by taking inventory of your strengths and weaknesses. If you lack the skill to move ahead where you are, then prepare to move somewhere else where you can succeed. Fourth, continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. Winston Churchill. Here are a few tools we need to enhance our resilience and emotional intelligence. Maintain determined optimism. Think of the hit song by Gloria Gaynor, "I Will Survive." Keep in mind the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Refuse to let your past define you. You might get thrown off your horse, but you don't need to stay down. Seek support if you find yourself in a dark space. Vow to climb up and triumph again. Write down the lessons that you learn. Notice what life is teaching you. Replace anger with peace for those who have hurt you. My brother betrayed the family and stole my mom's inheritance 10 years ago. I pity the person he is, but this brutal experience has not caused me to live in bitterness. Look for the lesson in every lemon. Cultivate humor in every situation. People can be cruel, vindictive, petty, jealous, and hateful. And we must erect boundaries to protect ourselves from these kinds of people, even in our own family, to avoid further harm. Be a light in the darkness. Sow humor, compassion, and kindness in the spaces of your life. And choose the color of the crayons you use to define your daily existence. Make your choices wisely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sue. That was just very, very inspiring. You're just an amazing professional in terms of your strength. And we gathered so much knowledge here from you and how you can actually turn adversities, transform your adversities into opportunities, both in your personal as well as in your professional life. And I just want to commend you.
Thank you.
For your strength and for encouraging myself and so many others here today in the name of resiliency. I just want to underscore a few things that you raised that really did cement in my spirit. That was just first one was just evaluating the lessons learned. All on the road and building resiliency power. Don't run and hide, but confront the change boldly. Grow and triumph from any outcome. And then don't blame others. See that very well. Counterproductive. Of course, attitude determines altitude, the best part. So I encourage everyone here today listening to acknowledge that change is coming. Be prepared, be in a mindset of preparation so that you will be able to take those adversities much easier. Seek counsel when you do find yourself in those setback situations. Use and leverage your environment and the resources around you to be able to build you up so that you can easily overcome. And of course, prepare and take inventory and have a continuous effort. Put a continuous effort to unlock that maximum potential within you. And that's really what BreakThru and these other wonderful professionals, that's what we do. That's the essence of what we do. You have to know who you are, have that self-awareness, and you really have to know how to tap into your environment and use that for goodness. And you will be able to overcome. It's not the adversities you should be focused on, is really how you're able to respond to those adversities. How can you flourish? How can one person flourish well, even though in spite of those unpleasant things? So I really want to thank Dr. Susie again. We're just going to move on to Dr. Angeline Benjamin. Dr. Angeline Benjamin, if you can just go ahead and take the stage. Angeline will be presenting how does stress management help with your emotions management. And that's very key. As professionals, we have a lot of stress. Hi, Angeline. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to use a slide presentation. Okay. So first, this is the title. But before that, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Dr. Angeline Benjamin. I'm an action coach with results, an author and motivational speaker, wellness healthcare, goal setting, crisis management workshop facilitator. I'm also a director of GSFE, Global Society for Female Entrepreneur, and at the Virtual Thursday Network. And this is my email address. Feel free to copy and my contact and my website. So the topic of my presentation today.
Dr. Angeline, we're not able to see your slides.
Oh, I do
Just click on share
sharing.
and share your main screen, then we should be able to see your slides.
Okay, so hold on. So share screen. There. Can you see? Okay.
Yes, we can. And then you can go ahead and start your slides from there.
All right.
Yeah, so this is my presentation. My apology. I thought that
That's
was
okay. It's okay. It's all worked out.
Okay.
Excited to have you here today.
Okay, so let me start again very briefly. I'm Dr. Angeline Benjamin. I'm an action coach with result, author, and motivational speaker, wellness, self-care, goal setting, and crisis management workshop facilitator. Also, I'm a director of GSFE, Global Society for Female Entrepreneur of the Virtual Thursday Network. And here you can see my email address, my cell, and my website. So I'm going to start. This is my title of presentation. How does stress management help with your emotional management? First of all, I'm going to go over first, what is stress? And I know some of you think stress is all bad. Stress basically is your body respond to anything that require attention or action. But sometimes we think stress is all bad. Yes, if we let it to consume us. So we live in a world that produces a lot of stress. While stress can sometimes help motivate us to focus and act. However, a lot of stressful things are non-productive and harmful. So we need to keep in mind that the stress, if they're harmful to us, that's when we use crisis management. There are 4 main types of crisis. And you hear about the acute stress, and this is the pictures that I'm giving you the example. This lady, she's climbing the rock. Now, to some people, can be very stressful. I'm gonna fall and then I'm gonna injure myself. But for this person, to her is a motivation because she has to keep practicing to be the best that she can. To her, it motivates her, but it is stress. So that is what we call an example of acute stress. How about chronic stress? Chronic stress, you can see the lady on the top in front of the laptop. That's an example that she has extremely taxing job. She just felt that she cannot get out of it. Or another one that an example of you experience traumatic evidence or from the childhood trauma. So that's another example. How about episodic acute stress? The pictures of this lady that she just closed her face because everybody just keep pointing at her. And this is something that just certain episode that she felt, why do I get the blame? The next one is eustress. Guess what? That is the one that we call is a good stress. An example of this one, that a person, love to go whitewater rafting. It energizes you. Now, to some people, like I mentioned, it's so stressful. Oh, I'm going to drown, I'm going to fall. But to some people, oh gosh, this is fun. And actually, it is part of even a stress management, that you relieve your stress. So again, it is up to the individual person how they manage the stress. So let's talk about stress management. The first one that as by definition, stress management is a technique and a strategy, and the practices aim at effectively handling and reducing the physical, emotional, and psychological effect of stress. And also we learn to develop skills and adopting behavior that help us cope with stressor. also, it promotes a sense of balance and resilience. And you have heard that over and over again. So here I'm just going to give you example of what common stress management technique. And so I know this is a lot of words, but just bear with me. One of them is I'm sure that you can relate to that, is relaxation technique. Some people like to have a massage. Some, like in these pictures, some people like to go yoga. Some people like to do meditation. Some people like to listen to the music just to relax you and get away from all the different noises sometimes. Okay. Another one is time management. And why time management is a stress management? Well, if you organizing and if you prioritizing your tasks and activities, that will help us feel more in control of ourselves, of our schedule. And because of that, we can reduce our feeling of being overwhelmed because we know what we need to do. How about physical activities, like in these pictures, this lady? This is one of the stress management that I felt if I just go for a walk and outdoor especially, and go for a walk with my dogs, physical activities, it relieves my stress. And why? Is that because we're releasing the endorphins, and which are natural mood lifter, and then reducing the body stress hormones. That's why physical activities is very, very effective. How about a healthy lifestyle? Okay, get together with your friend, have a cup of coffee, have lunch, and, to just with your friend. But another healthy lifestyle choice is that here that I'm gonna give you an example is at night, I do this many, many times, is drink my herbal teas and read a book. Now, of course, when you read a book, make sure it's the book something that inspire you, something that you enjoy. It's not something that you get really, really hyper about it. It's just to relax you. That's another healthy life choice that you want to do. Problem solving. You would think, oh my goodness, problem solving is a stress management strategy. Yes, sometimes by identifying the source of your stress and of the control over the circumstances, that you will feel that you can control the stress in a way that will relieve your stress. Again, because of your personality. It may work for somebody, but it may not. Social support. This is the one that I'm talking about, having get together with your friend too. Have a cup of, have like lunch, and like in these pictures that, we share our feeling or our concern with friends and family. And then also sometimes we need to get together with support group. So it depends upon your circumstances. How about reshaping negative thought? Okay. And in here that I have is that worry less, live more. So telling yourself that it's going to be fine. How about setting a boundary? That learn to say no. A lot of people say, well, that can stress me out. But believe it, some people just the other way around, because you relieve your stress by just learning to say no. And so if everything else you try doesn't work, this is where you need to seek professional help. Okay, let's talk about emotional management. What it is emotional management, because you heard from a previous speaker, but I just want to define that since my topic is how stress management help with your emotional management. So we need to understand what emotional management is. There are many, many different kinds of emotional management. So I'm just going to go through this really quick. And one of them is emotional awareness. What is emotional awareness? This involves that for us to recognize and understand our own emotion as they arise. It is important that we are able to identify a different emotion when we deal with certain stress. How about emotional regulation? That's another one. This refers to the ability for us to modify our emotion in response to different situations, right? So we have to be able to do that. How about emotional expression? That is something that we involve with the way that's socially appropriate or respectful to others, because we don't want to say something, then we regret it. So in both verbal and non-verbal communication emotion, that is something that everybody has a different way of expressing it. And the next one, how about empathy? Empathy, understand and empathizing with the emotion of others. Sometimes people have a lot of empathy, sometimes people don't. Again, this is something that you can use your skill. How about coping skill? Emotion management involved in adopting healthy coping mechanism is to deal with difficult emotion. This can include like deep breathing and mindfulness. Like I mentioned, we can learn to cope with certain situations. And the next one, emotional resilience. What is emotional resilience? It's developing our emotional resilience is allowing us to bounce back from whatever it is that stress us, like from a setback, from the stressor, or from challenges that we just were not ready. Next is self-regulation. What is self-regulation? Self-regulation is the emotional management is closely tied to our emotion. So because of that, we can monitor and control our own impulses, behavior, so that it will relate to our goals and our values. How about adaptive emotional expression? We all needs to be adaptable. So this is help us the ability to express our emotion in a way that is also appropriate and in problem solving. And last one is mindfulness and self-awareness. We do need to practice that mindfulness that will help us to be more aware about our emotion as they arise, allowing us to be effectively to respond rather than react compulsively. So now we talk about, stress management, we talk about emotional management. So now we are going to talk about how stress management can help your emotional management. So this is a few examples that I have. It reduces emotional reactivities. So when we're under a lot of stress, our emotion can become so intense and reactive. the stress management technique, such as like a deep breathing or meditation or exercise, can help calm our nervous system and reduce the intensity of our emotional reaction. So this means that more likely when you respond to the situation, you have a composed mind. How about enhanced self-awareness? So by having to enhance your self-awareness, that you practice a mindfulness. Another one, that to do this by journaling. How, like sometimes, when you write a journal, that helps you to enhance your self-awareness. Another one, improve decision-making. High level of stress can cloud our judgment and lead to a poor decision-making that we regret. So by managing stress, allow us to think more clearly and make decisions based on the reason rather than the emotional roller coaster. Another one that I think is very good is better communication. As you know, over and over again in previous presentation, effective communication can really help us in managing our stress. This can prevent miscommunication that also help us address the issue with the level head, and which contribute to better emotional management relationship. Enhanced coping skill, how about that? That stress management can also learn us to involve in healthy coping strategy. And this strategy can apply to emotional situation too. When you face challenging emotion, you can draw from your stress management toolkit, and then in a healthy way rather than having an outburst. The next one is positive feedback. Everybody needs positive feedback, right? Because sometimes when people get more stressed, it's because it's the negative feedback, or we think when somebody has a comment, it's something to criticize us. But if we are managing that positive feedback for our well-being, then we can take that better. So I'm going to give you an example of what the self-awareness, practical and realistic example. So let's talk about example one is a self-awarenessness. So to do that, just learn to identify the specific emotion that you're experiencing, and then recognize whether you are feeling anxious, frustrated, or overwhelmed. How about using a self-regulation? Instead of reacting to stress, we just take a deep breath and give yourself a moment to calm down. How about using an empathy? Try to empathize with the other person's perspective. If you try to understand that maybe they may also deal with the challenges like yours, or even worse. So in other words, sometimes we have to really look at the other person's perspective. How about motivation? Remind ourselves the benefit of reducing stress. Use a positive motivation just to fuel us. Then we get really excited. Maybe to some people, remember we call it eustress. So giving a good positive stress. Okay, the next one we're going to talk is integrating your personality types. Now, this is something that I want to show you after our talk. Sometimes people say, well, yeah, it's easy for you to do this, but it's hard for me to do whatever the tip that you give. And I learned it's because everybody has different personality and also what we call it a natural talents. So my advice is sometimes it helps for us to understand our own personality type, because that can help recognize the stress trigger. So we need to learn to develop and tailor our coping strategy based on our own personality. Another one that I learned from my professional experience is use an assessment called a Strength Finder. And because it focuses on identifying our individual strength and talent. So by leveraging our strength, that can also enhance our ability to manage stress effectively. In conclusion, when you're incorporating self-awareness, capitalizing your unique strength, utilizing emotional intelligence, guess what? We can form a dynamic trio that can transform your approach to stress management. By embracing these elements, you are not only better equipped to navigate challenges in the moment, but you are also nurturing the foundation for enduring resilience and a more fulfilling life. I'm showing this pictures. This is an example how I manage my stress because of my personality and because of my strength. This is the pictures when my husband and I decided to go to Fiji, and that's time to practice my stress management. I went hiking to go to the waterfall, stay in this beautiful place, just enjoy the sound of the water and go swimming and go to the private beach, having a lunch with my husband privately. Nobody else bothers you, no cell phone, nothing. And guess what? I jump into the cold water and swim, and I feel invigorated. So those type of things that I just want to show you that sometimes with different stress, different personality, we manage our stress differently. This is my message that I felt invigorated when I did that. So as my gift for all of you, that for you to find out that whether personality type or your strength can help you manage your stress more effectively, I'm offering a 1-hour coaching with me, and you will find out which type of personality you are, unless you know, and the strength, natural strength, and then hopefully you can manage your strength more effectively that way, using, again, your emotional intelligence. Thank you and for listening and watching my presentation, and I look forward to talking to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Angeline. That was an amazing and insightful presentation on how emotional management can be used to really manage our stress. I do love the photos, by the way. I felt, based on the scenery, that I was actually there. So good job in terms of putting images where we can actually feel exactly what you're trying to translate in your presentation. Beautiful. So I just want to go over, just recap a few of the high points that you addressed in the press. First, the stress, the different types of stress, the 4 types, right? Acute, chronic, episodic, acute, and ill stress. Thank you for that education. Thank you for the common techniques and practices in stress management, and we can all use that. Relax, breathe, social support, healthy lifestyle choices, physical activity, so many tools out there in which we can leverage for stress management. And of course, thank you for going through the pillars of how stress actually helps with emotional management, around emotional awareness, emotional regulation, management, emotional expression, emotional resilience, coping skills. How I see that is endurance, right? Which is all part of resiliency, right? You have passion and endurance working beautifully in that resiliency formula. You have empathy, and empathy is very, very important, right? Because it allows you to actually be invested in another person's emotions enough to hand them a map of understanding. It's a little deeper than perspectives. And of course, you wrap things up with how stress management helps with emotional management through better communication, self-awareness, enhanced self-awareness, emotional reactivity, so much goodness here. And then lastly, let's not forget how we can actually integrate personality profiling and strength finding in managing stress. Now, that was definitely an awakening for me. So we encourage you all to adopt that practice today in your stress management techniques, right? It's all about the approach. So thank you, Dr. Angeline, for that beautiful presentation. Really loved it. So now,
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have, we're moving on to the next eloquent speaker here, Jacqueline Zaccoli. She's going to be covering building empathy into who you are.
I don't believe Jacqueline is here yet. We're a little ahead of schedule. And I don't see her here. And I also just wanted to remind everyone that is out there attending that you are able to connect with all the speakers today. I've been dropping their links for LinkedIn. You're able to take advantage of all of their free gifts, as well as taking advantage of the gifts of the speakers today and tomorrow. For those of you that might have joined us today, but maybe found your way here and didn't register, you're able to go to the link to access all of those gifts today. And we've been dropping those links for you. I will drop those links again for all of you. And I also just wanted to make a quick note to all of our panelists that are here today. You're amazing. The hosts and the panelists and the speakers, you're all doing just fantastic. For each one of you, if you would like to send a message to everyone, make sure in the drop-down box for the chat, you click everyone instead of hosts and panelists, and you're able to send a message to everyone. And Dr. Susie, I just wanted to let you know a couple of your messages have been coming directly to me. So make sure that you're connecting with everyone. I've been recopying some of the messages over. And if anyone is an attendee and would like to ask a question, this would be a really good time for us to do that, Saskia. Of anyone that's spoken so far up to this point, for Clifford or Dr. Susie or Angeline, if anyone wanted to ask a question, make a comment. I know there's been a few comments coming through already and some questions, but if anyone would like to ask a question, now would be a wonderful time to do that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Yeah.
The floor is open. Thank you so much for keeping us on track. And of course, everyone, please do feel free to ask our amazing speakers today any questions you may have on their presentation or even on their background.
I would even ask the panelists and speakers if you had a question for another speaker that was here or wanted, to add a comment of something that you felt like, wow, Angeline, I just wanted to share how much I heard what you said when Saskia said she felt like she was in your environment when she saw your photos. I really felt the same thing. And I know being in nature like that and having that alone time and that away time, my husband and I had actually gotten back from, being on a Alaskan cruise, and it's being connected with nature, and it just really fills your spirit again. And I think that is so important, so important. So we've got some attendees that are raising their hands. Is it okay, Saskia, if I'm allowing them to speak?
Sure, of course.
Okay, great.
We want to hear from them.
So we have a Zoom user. It doesn't have your name, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity to speak here if you wanted to turn on your camera.
Hello.
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 Good morning or good afternoon. I don't know what time it is of the day at your end, but I am Saskia's mom, and I am so delighted to be a attendee today. I was listening carefully to what Mr. Clifford said, and I felt like I was walking in his shoes or he walked in my shoes because I lived that all that he said, all the get up, the failure and get up and get. As I raised my two beautiful daughters, and they can tell you, Saskia can tell you, I was a great motivator, and I lived the example of leadership. You said, get to the top. I rose to the top. I studied side by side with them. They can tell you. And I went to my leadership degree, and I said, okay, y'all gonna try to get there. But they got as high as I really admired. So this is a very interesting summit. And I continue to listen, and I applaud all of you speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
for sharing.
Mom, for being a beautiful example for me and my sister for so long. Really, really appreciate everything you have done to get me here at this point. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Next.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have Darren.
Yes. Mr. Darren?
Yes, hello. You guys can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I would like to first shout out all the panelists and everyone for all the great information. The first connection I would like to direct this to Mr. Clifford Starks. Man, I want to say that I do appreciate all of the information that you've given. I am a firm believer in the third strategy that you have. You know, I'm also going to take this one with me when you said, don't wish it was easier, just wish that you were better. And I understand the challenges with practicing and getting yourself to a point where you need to become a new person or do something in a new lane or new perspective. And, instead of just wishing like, oh man, why can't this just be easier? I felt that like, I myself, I'm on a journey as well to be a certified trauma and resilience coach. And let me tell you, ladies and gents, this information, I really, really like what Mr. Clifford said too about the let the professionals pour into you so that you can be the professional in your life as well. I'm running with those two things. Thank you, Clifford, man. I have seen some of your fights too on UFC. I think that you're an amazing fighter as well. As long and also an amazing coach. Because I like your balance and how you can reach out to individuals who's somewhat built on a lot of aggression because they like to fight, but also show them that you can control this aggression and be able to succeed in life by just simply just noticing and getting yourself to a point of understanding your emotional intelligence, and that's what I had for you, Mr. Clifford. Also for Dr. Susie. All right. I really enjoyed the shift from careers. I'm reading this book called Shifting Your Paradigm, and it is so hard after doing something for umpteen amount of years to just wake up one day and decide like, this is not for me. I need to do something else. I too had this epiphany about 7 years ago, and I used to be an entertainer, a DJ. I have a lot of celebrity friends, but a lot of folks too, I realize they don't want to let go of that identity for you, and they may not even want you to pivot or shift. And like you said, if you don't find a coach or someone that can kind of break it down to like, maybe you're not made for this, maybe you're made for that, and maybe you should try shifting in that direction, or like you said, taking a pivot in that direction of a new career, really, really caught my attention, and I appreciate you for those words.
Thank you.
And for Miss Angelina Benjamin, Angeline, stress management has been one of my go-to things in learning on my journey and understanding stress because, I used to have high blood pressure. I'm talking 24 years old on blood pressure medication. I'm 37 years of age now, and I'm happy to say that I'm off the medication. but that's only because I learned about stress management and how these different factors in my environments was affecting, my arousal levels making me, I guess, more anxious on a daily basis, or just being active in a heightened state of awareness all the time. You know what I mean? And I really think that it's important to understand stress management. I really think it is important that what you did, I felt too like I was on vacation just now when I saw your pictures. It brought me some type of warmth. Like, man, pictures do really help you to reflect on how good the feeling was at that time in that moment, and it will reduce stress levels in that moment. So once again, I thank you all, and you, Dr. Angeline, for that great presentation and such great information, man. I'm taking it all in. And FYI, I'm at work right now, but I'm not really at work. I'm more focused on the summit because I feel like this information is going to bring me way more value than what I'm currently doing or been doing at my job as a case manager at a facility. But I always do use everything that I learned from myself and everyone that I take information from, like you guys, and try to apply it in my work environment as well. So thank you all. Thank you, Saskia. This has been great stuff so far.
Thank you so much, Darren, for such great insights. Really appreciate the connections and as always brilliantly expressed.
And shout to Colleen too, Colleen, and she's really handling the scenes on the background. I like her aura and her enthusiasm. She's really great in making strenuous situations seem really easy and flowing. Very positive attitude. I love it. Thank you, Colleen, for that as well.
Thanks, Darren. Hey, we appreciate your participation today, and thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Dr. Susie.
Yes, I'd like to give a shout out to Clifford. I really appreciated his input, and it's a totally different point of view than I've ever considered, because as a fighter, as a trainer, and from all the physical activity perspective, I never really thought of stress in any of those situations. We usually just think of stress as people working in a corporate setting, with a lot of pressure and so forth. But I loved your takeaways, Clifford, about the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and also the visualization and the thing about breakdown to breakthrough, because I personally went through that in my own life. And I just, thank you for your nuggets, your gold nuggets.
Thank you
so much.
I just want to say you're all so amazing as I'm going through the process. And even Colleen, I look forward to hearing from you too and connecting with you, because Saskia is an absolute powerhouse. That's cool that your mom came on to give you that love and support. And there's a saying, as is above, so is below. And I look at the higher you go, the harder you can fall. And the lower you go, the higher you can rise. And women have poured into me so much on my journey, through my journey. I had a year where it was just me and my mom. It was just me and my mom, and she was strong, really, really strong. And she's holding on to her own trauma as she's going through this process, because sometimes we can get through even when we're traumatized. And I learned lessons on, holy crap, I have trauma that I haven't looked into, because I can overcome. But hearing all of your stories, Angeline and Dr. Sue and Saskia, thank you for putting it together. And yeah, he's right, Darren, with Colleen, orchestrating this dance of juggle. Respect to all of you and what you do and what you bring to the table. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Clifford. Really appreciate all of that feedback. A high level of respect to you and my other colleagues here. Just a beautiful job all around for everybody. Colleen, I believe we're still trying to get Jackie in here. Just some bit of technical difficulties in getting her on to speak. And
yes.
So
I just sent it to her. So it looks like she popped out of the meeting and is going to be coming back in.
Right back in? Okay, because I was going to say we can go ahead with you in place, but if she can be ready then.
And
No
then,
problem.
Angeline, did you have something you wanted to say? You raised your
Oh, yes. Didn't see
Yes.
it.
Yes, just want to comment, like, I think everybody has the same theme, is that want to add about vacation, for example, or when you want to relieve stress. One thing that I found out is cell phone, reading email constantly can increase your stress. And I can testify to that because when I went on vacation, that's it. No cell phone, no TV, and just go outdoor. And it's amazing when you don't just read email just one day and don't look at your cell phone just for one day and just talk to people. It's amazing how we can reduce the stress. And you know what? The next day, nothing disaster happened. So to me, sometimes we need to remove ourselves from all these because the gadgets sometimes control us from wanting to do something that we always wanted to do. So that's the comment I just let everybody know. Just learn to let go those equipment, once in a while.
Yes,
Yeah.
I completely agree. It can be very draining. And that's your energy drain source. I mean, you talk about time management, but the way to look at it is to have energy maximization or energy control over time management and what all those energy drain sources are. And definitely too much screen time is one of them. So in that evaluation, so thank you for bringing that up so brilliantly, Dr. Angeline. So I believe, Colleen, if you, one second, please.
All right, I got to take off, everyone. Send in love and light, and tell Jackie I send her love and light too. She's one of my favorite people. You all have an amazing day. Take care.
Okay, I think I think Jackie's still working through that. Colleen, do you want to go ahead and present for today because you were the speaker up next, or maybe we should take the break now, or
Why don't we take a 10-minute break and let everyone grab a snack, go to the bathroom? I think this
Yeah.
is a good time to do
It's a
that.
good
If
time to do
I
that.
am
Yeah.
the one speaking, I'm not going to be able to help Jackie get in.
That's correct.
So
Yes.
everyone who is an attendee, let's just take a 10-minute break. We'll come
Yes.
back at 10:50 a.m.
Mhm.
Pacific Standard Time. So let's take a 10-minute break so we can get our next speaker on here and we can get started ASAP. We'll see you all very, very soon.
Wonderful. So do that in 10 minutes. Bye, everyone, for now.
I'm going to go see if I can get her via phone.